This didn't happen randomly. It happened because the worms actually showed him how much potential he had inside him. And when he saw that he could be someone who Leela could actually love, he decided on that day to try and better himself.
Yeah. I don't know why, but my life really turned around that day.
While he doesn't immediately become the smartest guy around, we can definitely see that after this episode, he really does start to develop into a really stand-up guy.
Eat my shorts.
Okay. Short.
Timeline trouble. It's fair to say that there is quite a bit of crossover between Futurama fans and fans of The Simpsons. But some fans think the similarities go beyond just those surface-level details, and share a bond that is much, much deeper. One theory out there wonders if Futurama and The Simpsons actually started out in the same universe.
Oh my God.
With the same timeline, but that at some point the two split and became their own separate timelines. Fans justify this theory by the multiple sightings of Futurama and Simpsons Easter eggs hidden in the background of each other's shows, like in the Futurama episode Hell is Other Robots. In it, Bender returns to Old New York, and on one wall we can see the initials MB and HS for Marge Bouvier and Homer Simpson, surrounded by a heart. We've also spotted the three-eyed fish, a Bart Simpson toy, a possessed Krusty the Clown, and then there was the time that the head of Matt Groening appeared at a Comic-Con and refused to answer questions about The Simpsons. All that plus the crossover episode is some pretty solid evidence. The real Bender. You might imagine that Bender has always been a full-time criminal who loves to party from the very beginning. But a fan theory actually poses some questions about whether or not that is the case. Some wonder if Bender only became the bot he is today after he met our friend Fry. The very first time we see Bender is when he's trying to end his life, after he finds out that he was being used in order to manufacture suicide booths, which a lot of fans have argued doesn't really fit with his whole character. The Bender we know probably wouldn't give a hoot what he was building, if there was a chance that it might make him rich. In fact, the more evil, the better. But when Fry gets in the way of his attempt to off himself, the pair team up and take off before winding up being hunted down by Leela. It isn't until the moment that Bender is electrocuted by a faulty wire in the museum's Hall of Criminals that his personality appears to become different. This theory believes that this electrocution rebooted Bender, and because of his criminal surroundings, he became one himself. Hypnotoad. This theory might be a little harder to nail down, but it's so much fun that we wanted to include it anyway. Remember that whole Simpsons Futurama shared universe thing we talked about a minute ago? Well, this theory needs that one to work, so let's all say that it's true, just for now. One of our favorite Futurama characters of all time might seem pretty unlikely. He doesn't talk, move, or really do anything at all. And yet, for some reason, we just can't stop thinking about Hypnotoad. And it seems we're not alone, as some fans have come up with this pretty amazing theory about his origins that we can't get enough of. The theory goes that the Hypnotoad actually evolved from the very same toad that Bart Simpson brought to Australia and released, causing a plague of toads in the Simpsons episode Bart vs. Australia. While the first toad was just a normal old toad, its introduction to a new landscape may have caused it to develop new abilities and continue to evolve. And over thousands of years, eventually it became the supreme being that we now know as Hypnotoad. His origins are never fully explained, or explained at all, in Futurama. So who knows? Anything's possible with Hypnotoad.
Let's get a nice feel to it.
Poor Zap. While we are maybe supposed to hate him for his arrogance and general stupidity, we can't help but just love Zap Brannigan, especially since we just found out that he was supposed to be voiced by Phil Hartman, and that Fry is actually named after the late voice legend. Feel free to pause this video if you need to cry for a minute. On to the theory about old Zap. In an ideal world, the high-ranking captain of a government organization would hopefully be a qualified and intelligent person, well-equipped for their position after years of trusted service. But it's not an ideal world, and Zap is not exactly the man for the job, and fans have really started to question how he's been able to hang on to his position. Some believe that there was actually a time in which Zap Brannigan was the best man for the job, but something happened. We find out in Season 1 that he vanquished the Killbots by making the incredibly difficult decision to send every one of his soldiers into battle, which overrode the Killbot systems and defeated them. Fans wonder if he ever recovered from that trauma, and believe that he actually acts less smart in the hopes of being forced to retire. Anti-aging secrets. We get that having cartoon characters age along with the seasons of their show would be about as unnerving as it is that Luke from Modern Family is like uncomfortably muscular with a baritone voice now. And that is why Maggie Simpson has been a baby for nearly 30 years. But some fans think that when it comes to Futurama, there might be a real reason why none of the characters aged over the show's seasons. According to the chronology of the show, Fry was unfrozen at 25, and by the time the series finale rolled around, he was just shy of 40 years old. Or, 200 quindecillion if you want to be specific and confusing. He jumps around a lot in time, so let's just leave it at that. And yet, animation-wise, he never looks or acts older than his original age. Same with pretty much every other character on the Planet Express ship. And a popular theory among fans is that this is no coincidence. They believe that the Planet Express is actually letting off enough radiation in order to alter its inhabitants' DNA, enough to prevent them from getting older. The ship contains a lot of dark matter materials, which emit all that radiation, which also explains why Mom and her sons don't age either, because they own a company that produces the stuff. Hermes, or is he? A popular theory on the internet is that the chilled-out Hermes might actually be a double agent, planted on the Planet Express in order to gain intelligence about the goings-on of the crew in order to report them back to the government. Just think about it. Who better to avoid suspicion than a desk jockey whose #1 pastime is getting high and chillaxing? It's always the person you least expect. Unless there's a butler. Then you know it's always the butler, right? Some fans believe that Hermes is always moving back and forth between his shady governmental organization and the Planet Express, delivering intel about the crew's whereabouts and wheelings and dealings to his superiors. But what do they want exactly? Well, Professor Farnsworth's inventions, of course. His ability to harness dark matter would be more than valuable in creating weapons, not to mention everything else he has going on. Personally, we hope Hermes is innocent. He's just too nice a guy to be a spy.
Typical 20th century attitude.
Kif and Zap. Kif is one of those characters who can't really seem to catch a break. The poor guy's stuck with Zap Brannigan and is clearly not very happy about it. Plus, in one episode, he leaves Amy because of her wandering eye and particular interest in band boys. He gets her back in the end, but not after pulling a total Olivia Newton-John in Grease Roughing Up. Some fans started to really question the fact that Kif never tries to be transferred to another position and as far away from Zap as possible. He's a high-ranking officer. He could be running his own ship or working on the Planet Express to be with the love of his life. But nope, why does he stick around with someone he seems to hate? Well, the answer is not one we would expect, but it might be true. Some believe that Zap and Kif are actually drinking buddies off camera.
Mercy.
And that because of this, they are really loyal to each other. In the episode in which all of the water is turned to alcohol, Kif and Zap can be seen having a grand old time together, joking around and acting like anything but two co-workers who dislike one another. Some even believe that the reason Kif seems agitated at times is because he's just hungover. What if? Nobody likes it was all a character's dream or coma or fantasy theory. Nobody. And yet,